the podcast's amazing viewers. And it is my honor and pleasure to be here again. If you see this one, this little thing shining there, yeah, that's my new finding from Brighton. It was handmade in Indonesia. So, yeah. So, what is it that I want to talk about today? I want to talk about my failures. Why do I want to do that? Because it's very nice and wonderful for your ego to say, "Oh, I've accomplished this and that, and great, amazing." But your failures are what helped you grow and be where you are right now. Maybe you, maybe me. Let me start with, when I look back, I was, I think, a 13-year-old, right? And sometimes I still myself going back to the thing and thinking, why did I make that choice? But then that is where self compassion comes into play that, well, that was a 13-year-old's choice. Now it seems stupid, but so as a 13-year-old, all of my other friends wanted to go ahead and take coaching. So we had a particular coaching class for which you had to score so many marks to be there. And this was a very renowned mathematics teacher. And there was another language coaching. So there were like three different coachings. And I wanted to go there just because all my friends were joining in. So this is a 13-year-old. And guess what I did? I made my life miserable because I'm going to the coaching in the morning, then I'm going to the coaching in the evening, then there's school, there's no time for, I don't know, even managing with the homework. And yes, I kind of crept towards with other things happening. I landed up in depression. And yeah, as a 13-year-old, I was contemplating suicide. So, but obviously, I did not do that. And I'm here. Why I'm sharing this is what happened. As a 13-year-old, I am going to be 39 in 3 days. So, when I hold myself responsible for that now, thinking, why did I do that? I am not practicing self compassion. I am not taking into account that that was an understanding of a 12-year-old child, a 13-year-old child. Another failure I would like to share is when I was wanting to live somebody else's dream and not mine. So when I came to the UK, I did the PLAB exams, and then there is this FRC of the exam, part one. So what I would do is somehow there was this invisible force which is like, I need to do this, I have to do this. So this is just the conscious, but then it's like I never really wanted to do it. So what I would do is I did not really prepare for the exam but go for the exam, waste the money. I did that twice. No, I did that 3 times. Then I was so shit scared that I would pay the money, prepare for the exam, but never even go for the exam. So I have disappointed myself, I've disappointed my supervisor, and there were lots of tears, fears, I was self doubting. And the last attempt I did was in 2016, and it made me feel like a real failure. And for me, that was the worst thing you can be. Now, when I look back, why did I do that? Why would you register for exam, prepare, but never go in? Why? Fear of failure, fear of judgment. And I was living somebody else's dream, but not mine. Because if it's my dream, I will want to overcome all the challenges and obstacles that come in the way. It took me a long time to realize that it's not my dream. I'm trying to live somebody else's. How do you make yourself realize whether you are following your calling, what you want to do, what you're meant to do, or are you trying to live up to somebody else's expectation of who you should be? I don't know, society, parents, and although our parents might not be telling us what to do, maybe after a certain age, somehow you have that impression that I have to live up to this image. So that was another one. What else? There's so many failures that will come along, and I want to share those failures. I want to share the fears, every single fear I had, because when you face it, it loses the power on you. I was sexually abused as a child, and I actually shared it in one of the other podcast episodes, which was about childhood sexual abuse. My parents are visiting me, and this was just about 2 days back, where the Voices of Impact chapter that I wrote, my mother read through. And it's been a while that the book came out, and it's an international bestseller. But so my mother asks me quite hesitantly, she's like, I want to talk about it. Now my heart sank because, yes, I wrote it in the book. I have talked about it in the speaking event. I have, I'm happy to speak about it to others, but not to her, because I always felt that that will break her heart. She's like, no, I want to talk about it. Said, okay. And we went deep about what happened, why it happened. She asked me the question that I've been asking myself for 30 plus years before I went on my healing journey. Why did I not tell my parents? And the problem is, from a 4 or 5 year old's perspective, you do not have an answer. Maybe I did not trust the bond enough. Maybe I'm thinking I have done something wrong and I'll be held responsible. I don't know what the maybes were, but now I understand that a pedophile, especially in the family, if they're targeting a child, they're not going to jump on you just like that. A child is groomed so that the child doesn't go against them and go and talk to anybody else about it. So when my mother asked me the question, why did you not tell me? You know, it's like all the healing journey was like on shaky grounds, and I was triggered. I was like, oh my God, why is she saying this? I've dealt with this, I've dealt with this. But see, when a trigger comes up, it is pointing a landmine to you that still needs to be dealt. So yes, I sat down and I talked to her about what happened, and it was a weight off my chest, because when it happened, I was 4 or 5 years old. But as I said, I'm going to be 39 close by, and in this 35 years, I've never mentioned it to my mother. She was shaken, she was tearful, she was guilty, she felt she wasn't a good parent. But I wanted to tell her that what has happened has happened. I cannot change it. In the book I'm writing, it's about finding yourself, your journey from victimhood to victory. And on similar grounds, Michelle Slight, she will be coming onto the podcast on the 9th of May, 11:30 a.m. British Summer Time. She was sexually assaulted and raped 5 times in her life. And of course, she'll be there with us to share her journey. When I have been working with other therapists, other colleagues, when I was working on my own blocks of fear of failure, fear of judgment, self esteem, self confidence, I have seen it coming up again and again in the sessions for myself and for others. Childhood experiences, which could be rejection that you faced, which could be, I don't know, a teacher said something, a parent said something. Fortunately, not every child goes through sexual abuse, but there could be something else. Trauma doesn't always have to be a big T. It's not about what happened, but what meaning did the 3 year old, 4 year old, 5 year old, 10 year old gave to it. That is like having a perspective. It's about not what happened, but the perspective with which you look at it. Going to the root of where this fear of failure and fear of judgment comes from. For me, it was this innate belief that I need to be successful. I need to be a A plus student to be loved and to be accepted. And my self worth relied on it. Now, from if you just look at it outwardly, from my parents were like, oh wow, yeah, we love Ruchi. My teachers, they loved Ruchi. But the problem is, when challenge comes in. So this was class 9, and just I had a whole of my batch clapping up for me because my teacher declared that I had scored 100 on 100 in the maths exam, where nobody else in a class of 60 had. And I was very proud, very happy. Yes, all my hard work has paid off. This was class 8. Class 9, somehow the mathematics moved to geometry and algebra, and I did not understand anything of geometry, like what you call trigonometry. I would see cos, sine, and theta in my dream, but I could not make sense of it. I chose to flee, to just take a flight and not go back to it. The consequences were disastrous. And now, when I look back, you understand the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset. Had somebody explained it to me, had somebody listened to my fears. But as a 13-year-old, I chose to just flee. I still face failure. I still fall down. And I think till the day we live, we all will. And I would say, when you embrace your failure, every single time you failed, I would highly invite you to actually a journaling exercise, which might take about a few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes of quiet time you can spare for yourself. Just looking back at your life, however many years it is, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, every single incident that you feel that was a failure, if you just jot that down and come to it with a different perspective of what did I learn from it, how did I grow from it, you know give yourself that 5 to 10 minutes time. I mean, if not much. Journaling is such an amazing method, way, means towards self-awareness, because as it is rightly said, if you are not aware of who you are, where you are right now, you cannot become the best version of yourself. You need to be in alignment with who you are. That means facing everything, facing all your good, bad, right, wrong, flaws, mistakes, failures, everything. If there's something that's triggering you, for example, as a therapist, when I do a session, as a coach, when I do a session, if something triggers me, rather than running away, learning to face it, because that trigger came for a reason, to point out what needs to be worked on. If I don't face it there, it will come up in some other way, in some other way. It will keep coming back till I deal with it. So that is what it is with the fear of failure and fear of judgment. None of us were born with it. I think I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. If any of us was born with the fear of failure and fear of judgment, you would not learn to speak or walk, because you make mistakes, you fall 100 times, you get back up. So what I'm trying to put across is fear of failure and fear of judgment is always a learned fear. Fear of rejection is a learned fear. And maybe it had some evolutionary benefit, say hundreds of years back, when you're a part of a tribe, you being rejected means death. You couldn't survive in the wild by yourself. So you being a part of the community, you being accepted, you choosing approval over your authenticity was a must for your survival. Fortunately, we live in a day and age where, for most of us, survival, basic survival, is taken care of. You're not faced with a wild animal on a daily basis. You can choose to make a choice of choosing your authenticity over approval. People who align with you will actually be happy to see a more truer, more authentic version of yourself when you put the guard down. And the second thing I've learned on my journey is, you meet the most amazing people, you make the most genuine connections solely because you gave yourself the permission to put the guard down, to let that other person actually see you. If you have that guard up, you don't even let other people see you. How do you aim to even form a genuine connection in any way? There are deeper connections with your family, with your friends, people who genuinely are your friends. I mean, if it's on a superficial basis, it might fall off. because you're taking off the facade. You are being owning your authenticity. You're being your authentic self. That means uh, people who cannot align with it will fall off your radar of life or your friendship zone. It's fine. But the people who are yours, you will be able to connect on a much deeper level. I mean, okay, let me give you the closest example. So I was in Paris for the ideas conference, and it was a 2 day conference. Because they were all like-minded, like-hearted people on the same journey. I mean, literally every single person, the speaker going on stage sharing that story. I mean, it was almost like a bond of a family when it was time to leave that room. Like, I'm still in touch with almost all of them. I would say most of them I have come and will be coming in the next few episodes on the podcast, because I so want to share their journey of victimhood to victory, of resilience in all forms, in all shapes, and all sizes. What they overcome to be where they are right now. Does that mean they will not face any more challenges? No, they will. But how do you equip yourself? And, literally one common theme in every single story shared was the turning point where they realized, am I living my dream or am I living somebody else's? Am I living my authenticity or am I living to please everybody else around me, to be acceptable? People pleasing might come across as useful when you start off and you're like, okay, everything's well. But trust me, when you're trading your authenticity for that, you would not have the resilience to face failure or judgment. For fear of rejection, I think the most important thing, the most important step you can take is embracing your inner validation rather than the need for outer validation, right? Most of the people pleasing is about gaining outer validation, right? But when I'm not saying this is possible all the time, 24/7 in every single event, but as much as you can, gaining your validation from within yourself, because that will build on your self worth. Remember, your self worth is non negotiable. Your self worth is not your degrees, your self worth is not your accomplishments, whatever you have accumulated, your house, your money. Your self worth is not reliant on that. Your self worth is so much more than that. Your self worth is not even your self confidence. When confidence you can improve, confidence comes from doing. So anything you fear, if you could start doing maybe like a tiny bit and a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, confidence comes from doing. Comparing yourself is fatal. I was in Paris, and there were speakers who had, I don't know, 20 years experience, 15 years experience. And once my talk was done, I sat there sitting myself, oh my God, I could have done so much better. If I sat there constantly comparing myself to them, yeah, I'm going down the rabbit hole of fear of failure, fear of judgment. I did so bad. The reframe is, the learning is, I am my own comparison. And I'm so proud that in that moment of going sinking down, I could remind myself, your only comparison is you. This is a brilliant opportunity. I'm in a room full of the most amazing, spectacular, trailblazing women from all walks of life. What can I learn from them? How can I grow? And immediately, me feeling from like this, I'm like, wow, amazing, awesome. Yeah. So I think that is something I would really say. So from everything I've said, the first and foremost is learning to have your validation from within rather than outside. Proud list, as even I have previously mentioned, comes really, really to your help. Proud list is all the obstacles, the challenges, personal, professional, in any form or size that you've overcome in the last 10 years of your life, in last 20 years of your life. These things give you your they're a reminder of your resilience, that you've come so far. Because as human beings, we become very short-sighted. There's a very negative focus of, oh, what I did wrong, what I could have done better. Great, amazing, reflection is very good. But at the same time, keeping sight of all the obstacles, all the challenges, personal, professional, physical, emotional, that you've overcome, having that as a list handy that you can look at is such an amazing, I would say, launch to your rocket, because when the rocket is launching, the maximum fuel is needed when it is just launching. So when self doubt comes in, you're sinking down. When you want to launch yourself back up with emotional resilience, that's where your proud list, how you appreciate yourself, how you celebrate your wins comes into play. So, coming back, fear of failure and fear of judgment. As I said, none of us were born with it. We can always combat it. There are ways and means of doing it. And the first way and means is to not run away from it. You know, yes, you can do your proud list, and at the same time, remember one incident. Let's just go back it together. Remember that one incident in your lifetime that still seems like the biggest failure to you. Oh my God, I so badly failed at it. I'll give you a minute, just go back in your life, last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that one big incident where like, this was such a massive failure. Okay, now go there. As you go there, I want you to look at it and look at it from a different perspective, a different pair of glasses, a different pair of lenses, and ask yourself the question looking at it, what did I learn from it? And how did I grow? Just be there. I'll hold on to the silence for the next few seconds. Just be there. This big failure that has been haunting you for, I don't know, so many years or so many months, just looking back at it again. How did I grow and what did I learn from it? Sit with it. Just be with it, with what comes up. Because this is important, this is gold. Now, put this in front of you. So now you're looking at the same big failure. You've gotten your answers for what did I learn here? How did I grow? Now look back at your current life. Would you be the same person you are had you not evolved or grown from that learning experience, from that failure? You wouldn't be, right? So, failures are essential for your growth. You learn so much more from a failure than a success. Yeah. Success and failure are, two parts of the same coin. From a failure, what did I learn? How did I grow? What could I have done better? I think this is from, I was doing, this was one of my podcast guests. She was a transformation coach and she shifted her inner dialogue with this question. Like, she had this really, really negative inner dialogue to start with. Just one question: when things go down, what is that one thing that I could have done better? It's how you retrain yourself. Yeah. How you go back, how you retrain yourself. Everything is doable. If I am sitting here talking to you, doing a live without any paper notes, following through what I want to share, wanting to share my story, if I can do it, it is possible. This is coming from somebody with unimaginable amount of low self-esteem, low self-worth, non-existent self-confidence. What have I got to say? Why would somebody even listen to me? And everything in between that you can think of. Follow your own unique journey, okay? I would highly, highly recommend journaling to every single person. And answers come when you ask the powerful questions. So, the powerful question is the direction in which your life journey is going. Are you happy with that? Okay. If you're not, why? If you are happy, why? Ask yourself the why. You know, the way your life is going, if it was to go as it is with no change, and this is your last breath of this lifetime, last day of this lifetime, would you have any regrets? Would I want to do something differently? Would I feel, oh, this left undone, this was so important to me, you know I could have touched so many lives with it, And it doesn't mean you have to be a therapist or a coach or a scientist. It could be anything. Because as I said, your journey is as unique as you. Because you are a soul in progress, in evolution, on its own journey, on your own unique path. Yeah. The one divine consciousness, all of us are like souls coming out of it on our own unique journeys. No two souls, no two rays compare, look at each other and say, oh, I can't do this right. Oh, you are away from me. You're farther away from me. We're all on our own unique journeys. And this vehicle of yours is designed, you choose it by design for your own unique journey. And one thing I can tell you by experience is when you choose to follow your deepest calling, you learn to face obstacles and challenges in a new light. You want to keep going. You want to keep going. Even if you fall down, you want to keep going because that is so close to your heart, because that means so much to you. That is like you sharing your inner light, the deepest core of you, with whoever it may help. When I share a story in the podcast, when I share my life's failures, obstacles, challenges, falling down, getting back up, the whole idea is because I have listened to the amazing podcast where I got the inspiration, the motivation to get back up. So my only intention is if each one of you or any one of you who needs it, who listens to this and can feel the connection to their deepest core, their deepest self, and are ready to face failures head on, are ready to take the next step when they feel overwhelmed, they don't know what to do. If they're feeling hopeless, if they're not believing in themselves, they want to make that choice. No, I believe in myself. Again, I'm pretty sure you know already about it, but this is so real. The school system is somewhat like what Albert Einstein says, when you, as if you're telling a fish to climb a tree and a rabbit to swim in water, or a monkey to swim in water, and they will both feel that they are fools because they are not playing to their strengths. Unfortunately, the school systems or evaluation systems work the same way, with same boxes for the all the boxes being ticked. We are not robots. We are not robots. We look different, we feel different, we have different perspectives, we have different strengths, we have different strengths that we bring to the table, different gifts that we bring to the table. Considering that, how do you evaluate every single person with that same tick box exercise? You can't. That's what I'm saying. Reevaluate yourself where you are in life. You know, does it fall in line with where you want it to be? And if not, what can you do about it? I mean, for me, going on my own healing journey, finding rapid transformational therapy, training in it, being able to touch lives, help people transform their trauma towards healing, towards finding themselves, was truly transformational for me. Yes, I still work as a medical doctor Mondays and Tuesdays, but going on that journey was more in alignment with me. And if I start with the obstacles, I was completely challenged in when I'm doing a say connection call with a client. I would stumble at even mentioning a price for the sessions I do because my understanding was I'm a spiritual person. I want to the give the gift of healing to others. How can I charge? I shouldn't. So the thing is, when you embrace yourself, every single limiting belief will come your way. I'm not good enough, smart enough, intelligent enough. Sometimes, well, this was a learning experience. So when you're in a connection call, again, I went through my pricing, I went through the offer, I went through the details, we connected. But then the prospective client, they're not happy to take on my offer. There has been more than three instances about 2 years back where I have cried my eyes out because I took that rejection personally. It wasn't a rejection of the offer I was giving them to be able to help them be their best self, but it was a rejection of me. So this is how fear of rejection plays. Yes, there were tears and fears you know, but then when I faced it, why is it happening? What is it telling me? When you face it, You can't go around it, you can't go over it. You have to go through it. You got to face it. So remember, your fears, your triggers are there to help you, because they're like whales on your true self, on your authentic self, on your strengths. And when you face the whale, you know, that's how you go through it. And this is like an inward journey. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going, truly aligning with who you are. The journey is real. Okay. And when you open up a dusty room full of limiting beliefs, full of blocks, there's dust. There's a whole lot of choking that might happen, but you don't give up. You keep going. That's the most important thing. Keep believing in yourself. And for me, what I do is every single day, my self love mirror exercise is paramount. I've got a 3-year-old, and his waking up time could be anywhere between 5:36, 6:37. So I wake up really early because my self love mirror exercise, my connection with myself through my yoga routine is paramount. You got to invest in yourself. You are your biggest asset. You got to invest in yourself, because if your cup is empty, you cannot give anybody else anything. Not your employer, not your employee, not your clients, not your family, not your children. Nobody. Nobody. I had this idea that as a mother, I need to be patient always. Always. It's not possible. Anybody out there who is a parent will realize that parenting has its own challenges. I mean, I've given so many exams in life, but I feel parenting is like an exam on a daily basis. And you don't know what's going to come about. Like just today morning, my son literally clung on to his father, refusing to let him go. My husband was late to work. His patients were waiting. Finally, he agreed. We tried everything, literally everything. Finally, he did not go to the nursery. He's with his grandmom right now. And I don't know. So when I'm glad that she's here, but if she wasn't here, there's just unpredictable circumstances. There are mornings where he decides, I don't want to wear any clothes. I don't want to wear a nappy. That's it. You keep running behind him for 1 hour. I don't, like, the list is endless. So what I'm coming to is staying compassionate to yourself no matter what. One important question from Robin Sharma, like, I love to start my day with is, what am I winning at? What am I winning at? There are 10 things that might not be going right in life, but when you have a jump start to your day, have a morning routine. Keep it simple, keep it concise, but have a morning routine. For me, my morning routine looks like I wake up, whatever your time is. For me, a good time is 4:30 or 5, because as I said, my son wakes up really early. When I wake up, have a bath, I do my self love mirror exercise. I go through my vision board, having a clarity of what is my bigger vision. Why all this? Why do I do the podcast? Why am I speaker? Why am I author? Why? For what? Staying inside in alignment with your bigger why is like, that light at the end of the tunnel that will keep you going. Even if the obstacles come, learning to change your perspective. What am I learning from it? How am I growing from it? I'm not saying you have to run away from any emotion. Yes, emotions come up. There will be days when, emotions get the better of you, no matter how emotionally resilient you are. It's okay. Give yourself the time. Give yourself the time to just settle down, face the emotions. I had a really rough day just about 2 weeks back. And I was supposed to take, me and my husband, we were both supposed to take our son on a play date. And we had an argument, and I was having a very rough day, and I did not go. So I sat there reading this amazing book, which is called Raising a Happier Mother by Anna Mathur. And I was crying my eyes out, like literally for about 2 hours. And it was a release. I think every single word she was saying was like a soothing balm to my aching heart. So, what I'm trying to put across is that was what I needed on that day. Do that for yourself. If you're having a rough day, and then, once I've released, once I've faced, once I've healed, literally, okay, I'm here for you, Ruchi. What's happening? Tell me. Just about 2.5 or 3 hours later, I was clear. Things were okay. Now, if like my previous self, if I had shut it all down, oh, come on, deal with it, what would have happened? Okay, it might stay in the background for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and then what happens? You just lash out on somebody for no reason. You become agitated and angry for no reason. And you're thinking, why? Because you did not face, you did not embrace yourself when you were needing yourself, your own company the most. You were told to be strong, so you just shut it out. That doesn't help. Sometimes just your own company, facing what comes up, going deeper, that's the most helpful thing you can do for yourself. I think the takeaways I would like to really mention is loving yourself for who you are, giving yourself the time, the love that you deserve, and remembering that your self worth is non negotiable. It is not dependent on anything, and that you were born free. None of us were born with fear of failure or fear of judgment. These are just garbs we have taken, and we can easily let go of that. If you struggle with fear of failure, fear of judgment, self doubt, self trust, self confidence, self esteem, I'm here to help. I offer subconscious reboot, rapid transformational RTT sessions, and inner power access coaching sessions. Feel free to click on the link below. We can get on the inner power access confidence call, learning to understand where you are, where you want to be, what would be the best ways to get you there. And we can actually tailor the coaching sessions and the RTT therapy sessions together to get you where you want to be. RTT sessions and coaching sessions for myself have been a game changer for me. And that's why the whole journey started where I want to be that person to somebody else. And that's why I do what I do. Staying in alignment with your bigger why. Yeah. You have any questions, queries you would want me to speak about any particular topic, feel free to comment. This is currently going live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So, whichever your social media preferences, feel free to write your comments, your feedback, and I would love to have that. And yeah, I would like to wrap up with that. And it is always such a pleasure and honor to connect, to share my journey, my failures, my triumphs, and grow together. All right. Wonderful. There we go. Bye bye.